what do? I mean, I've obviously thrown a lot of things at you guys. First off, I want you to understand, there's no algorithm that is going to replace the last 10 yards of a transaction, the tough part, the stuff that gets sticky, or buyers and sellers need us. But they have to know they need us. If they go through a transaction and you're doing nothing more than handling the paperwork and you haven't built a relationship with them, they might as well just have someone else do the paperwork and save the brokerage fee. There was a thing on Inman, and it was kind of a joke that Brad Inman said that Remax should buy Redfin or Redfin should buy Remax. That's one potential solution, is what Keller Williams and Coldwell Banker is doing, because they're not sitting on their cans. They're sitting there going, hey, we understand this iBuyer situation is real, so we have to get involved. And the greatest part about that is they want to keep the agent at the center of a transaction. So, with Keller Williams, they have 160,000 agents out there. So an agent, can you imagine, from Coldwell Banker or Keller Williams, sits down with a seller and saying, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we can sell your home for here and we can give you your money in 24 hours. Or if we list it and we do a great job, we can sell it for here. And whatever the seller decides, whatever is best for the seller, that's what it's all about. If the seller takes a lower offer because whatever circumstances are in, then that agent that met with them still gets that listing. So it's keeping the agent at the center of a transaction. So these larger companies, they need to get involved. They need to, Compass is also coming out with a bridge loan program where they have a bridge loan where they can actually, bridge money to the seller. It's not quite selling their property, but at the same point, it helps the seller get maximum price for their home of putting it on the market and still having the money to do what they do. These are what the larger companies are going to have to do if we want to stay viable in the industry. So that was kind of it wasn't a joke, but it was just something thrown out there that they need to kind of compete a little bit. Keller offers, like we talked about, Keller Williams, large companies, 160,000 agents, making them offers. Reality, investor pool. Have your own investor pool. When we were selling a lot of bank-owned properties, if you haven't sold bank-owned properties, or if you have, you know what I'm going to say, when you work 3 times as hard for half the money. People go, oh my God, you got all these listings. Yeah, I was getting 6 utility bills a day. I had to hire someone just to pay the bills coming in. And we had to obviously check properties. It's a lot of hard work. But here's the good part. And what we eventually established is because investors would call us, because when we saw bank-owned properties, there were pretty good buys. So investors would call us. Well, over time, we sat there and, when we got a property, first thing we'd do is we'd call some of our investors. Now, they would still have to compete for the property, but at the same point, we were selling every other bank-owned property we have to our own investors. Now, it would be someone on my team that would handle the buyer side, because we weren't allowed to handle both sides. But then, in a lot of cases, we got a chance to flip the property, to sell it when the investor flipped it. Sometimes they kept it, but 50% of the time. So not only did we double end the property up front, but we were also able, when the buyer came in there and fixed it up, which in half the cases they would just flip it, we got the listing. That was one of our deals we had with them. So that's how it made it worthwhile. Well, it's the same thing. Find your own investor pool. There's some companies out there doing it, because here's a way we combat Open Door, open listings, our Open Door or Zillow offer pad. Is, let's say Open Door comes in there and says, I'll give you $290,000 for your property. And you get a chance to meet with those people and you go, I have an investor that will give you $291,000. That's the way we combat, doing it. We basically, because the consumer wants it, so they're going to get it through us, through Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker or whoever else gets in the iBuyer program. But start lining up your own investors. Now, it might not work for everyone, but there's, even for investors buying property now, the profit margin have thinned out quite a bit. So it's not like they have to buy it at a 30% discount. So pick up your own investor pool. Introduce sellers. Like a lot of companies, Open Door and companies out there will actually give you a fee if you have a seller and they need money right away, if you're in a marketplace that some of these iBuyers work, you can call the iBuyers and you can get a referral fee from it. So understand their programs, look in it. If there's someone in your marketplace, one of the iBuyers, work with them a little bit. At least it's better to get something. Number one is you're doing what's best for the seller. If the seller needs a sell and willing to take a little bit less and you don't have your own iBuyer program or your own investors, at least you can make the introduction. And in some cases with some of the iBuyers, maybe get a chance to sell the property after they buy it. And then there's always a 30-day kind of opportunity. So if someone gets offered $290,000 for their property through one of the iBuyers, a lot of times that offer is good for 30 days. Well, tell them, hey, let me see if I can't get you $300,000. You have 30 days to take the offer. Let the seller know that, let me try to sell the home. Let's do a 20-day listing agreement. Get it on the market, because I will tell you, if the iBuyers are buying it for $290,000, you could probably sell it in a couple days at $300,000. So again, give the seller some choice. Zillow Premier Agents. Well, you can become, because Zillow's talking about all the properties they're going to buy. To sell the homes, they're going to give to their Premier Agents. Now it's going to be for a lot less than what you might normally make if you sold it for that seller. But again, it's something, so a lot of these companies, build the opportunities, with, it's just like Redfin on properties that they have. If they have buyers that they're not be able to handle, like some areas in Canada and so forth, they've built an agreement with Remax to refer those buyers to them and get, some sort of a fee. So again, because Redfin isn't in every single area to be able to help with the buyers. Same thing with Zillow Premier Agent. The only problem I have with that is again, I'm not saying it's joining the enemy, because these guys aren't enemies. They just don't understand the real estate business, and they think that literally people don't need agents. But the only thing with Zillow, I do think there's going to be a time, just like with Open Door about open listings, there's going to be a time where Zillow sits there and buys their own discount firm. And so, and they have basically employees doing it. Because again, this isn't end to end. This is start and they're giving it to one of their Premier Agents. But again, you can become a Premier Agent. But I will tell you, with Zillow, 71% of their income is coming from agents that pay that monthly fee. I don't know. I just kind of feel like, are we paying someone to put us out of business? Just my opinion. Though there is an opportunity there for some agents. Start your own iBuyer. There's some small companies that have gotten some seed money and they have their own iBuyer. Obviously, they can't do it in volume, but again, that's an option. You can retire. That's actually just kidding. I'm not worried about. There's going to be probably 30% of the agents that are kind of put in the forced retirement when all this gets, because only so many people can eat out of that trough. It's going to be no one that's listening here, because you guys have shown a commitment to educate yourself and become more valuable. And that's what this is all about, what the Blueprint to Success is, to become more valuable. Because if you're not more valuable than just doing the paperwork, then why shouldn't someone use a discount firm to buy or sell? So that's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but there will be a lot of agents, I think hundreds of thousands, that are kind of put into a forced retirement because they're not here like you guys are. Or, number one, you become more valuable. Isn't that what it's all about? Become more valuable, because a good, valuable agent will pay for themselves. When people ask me to justify my brokerage fee or my commission, I sit there and say, my goal is to pay for myself through my expertise and my knowledge and how I'm able to market the property, to not only get you more money, to negotiate better, and to net you more and pay for myself. That's always my ultimate goal. So again, these are all different solutions. Always when we do it, comment below. Give me kind of your guys' ideas and your kind of feedback. And again, understand, I think this is actually for the agents that understand what this is all about and they become more valuable. I think this is going to be a good thing, because there's going to be less agents in the business. See, my goal is, we work with a lot of new agents, and I think that's great, because the fact that they're involved in education I think that's a great thing. But these, let's say for instance that I can go in front of a room of 20 people and I can increase those 20 people to sell 30 more homes a year. Well, that's 600 more homes that those 20 people are purchasing if they follow the Blueprint to Success tools like you guys are. So that's 600 homes. Now that means those 600 homes have to come from someplace. Well, that is putting 600 agents that sell one home a year out of business. And again, those agents are the ones that aren't continuing their education. They're not trying to get better. They're not trying to become more valuable. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because I have no problem with someone selling one or two homes if they're trying to make themselves better. But the agents that are just like, bumping into a transaction, and because they're not educating themselves, they don't have that value for the consumer. So the consumer is sitting there going, is that all an agent has to offer? So they go to Open Door, Zillow, Redfin, the discount firms, or OfferPad. So that's my concern.